For over a century, popular culture has painted the Titanic as a pristine time capsule suspended in the freezing waters of the North Atlantic. But at 3,800 meters below the surface, the ocean floor is a highly dynamic place. The wreck is an active, shifting environment, subject to deep-sea currents and immense pressure that are slowly dismantling the ship from the inside out. Sealed deep inside those collapsing corridors lies an archaeological hoard valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars. From crates of early 20th century art to safes holding diamond jewelry, fortunes remain locked in the dark. The world's most famous shipwreck is being eaten alive by the ocean itself, meaning the window to reach these remaining artifacts is rapidly closing. Down in the forward cargo holds, manifests show a 1912 Renault Type CB Coupe de Ville. When loaded in Southampton, its gleaming red bodywork and brass fittings represented the absolute height of early automotive luxury. Further back in the stern sections rests an incredibly rare edition of the Persian poetry collection, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Its binding took nearly 2 years to complete, encrusted with over 1,000 precious stones, including rubies and emeralds set in gold. Reaching these items has proved impossible so far. They are buried under tons of twisted steel and heavy silt, sitting in sections of the hull that are far too dangerous for remote submersibles to navigate without risking a catastrophic collapse. With every passing year, the surrounding metal weakens. When the decks finally pancake on top of one another, these legendary treasures will be crushed and buried under the sediment forever. The passenger manifest included some of the wealthiest individuals of the Edwardian era. Among them was real estate magnate John Jacob Astor IV, whose personal net worth would equal nearly $3 billion today. Astor's solid gold Cottet watch was eventually recovered from the Atlantic. Water had seeped beneath the glass, stopping the hands at exactly 1:27 a.m., marking the precise hour he entered the freezing water. Alongside the elite's gold and diamonds are objects belonging to the working class. A simple brass key tagged Locker 14F Deck was found on the remains of a third-class steward, a quiet marker of the men who stayed below decks to help others escape. Surprisingly, the immense pressure of the deep ocean spared many delicate items. Intact porcelain teacups stamped with the White Star Line logo have been brought to the surface, along with leather suitcases whose natural tanning oils repelled the salt water. Then there is the violin belonging to Wallace Hartley. He was the band leader who kept his orchestra playing as the ship went down, and his salt-stained instrument was recovered strapped to his body weeks later. Bringing these artifacts to the surface provides a physical connection to the people who perished. Salvage teams argue they are rescuing these human stories from an environment that is rapidly tearing them apart. The pressure and salt water are only part of the threat. The ship's steel structure is being actively consumed by local marine biology. In 2010, scientists identified a completely new species of bacteria feeding on the wreck, aptly named Hellomonas titanicae. These microbes survive in the depths by extracting energy directly from the iron hull. As the bacteria digest the metal, they leave behind massive, icicle-like structures called rusticles. These formations are incredibly fragile, representing the ship's steel literally dissolving into the ocean current. The wreck is losing hundreds of pounds of iron every single day. The metal walls are thinning out, and the structural integrity is failing, causing entire deck levels to buckle. Once the heavy upper decks collapse, the lower levels will be completely compressed. Everything inside, from the luxury Renault to the jewel-encrusted Rubaiyat, will be smashed flat under tons of steel. This natural reclamation leaves humanity with a difficult choice. We can launch recovery missions to save what remains, or we can let the biological clock run out, sealing the artifacts on the seafloor permanently. Preservationists argue that leading the wreck alone guarantees its complete erasure. By bringing items to the surface, even massive sections of the hull, they create physical monuments that educate future generations and honor the memories of those who sailed on her. On the other side, purists and descendants view the site as a maritime mass grave. To them, breaking into the hull or pulling items from the debris field is a violation of a sacred resting place that deserves to be left in peace. The deep ocean currents have swept away any human remains. but clothing and leather shoes still lie undisturbed on the seabed. They serve as visceral markers of where specific passengers spent their final moments. For decades, this debate remained largely philosophical, but the rapid acceleration of the ship's decay means a final decision will be forced upon us in our own lifetimes. The reality is, the Titanic will ultimately disappear. The only remaining question is whether we should extract its final secrets before the metal completely gives way. Long after the last rivets pop and the grand staircases dissolve into the Atlantic silt, the human stories associated with the Titanic will endure. So we must ask, is the highest form of respect to leave the victims undisturbed in the silent dark? Or should we bring their frozen moments back into the light for the world to remember? Tell us where you draw the line in the comments below. Do we preserve the history or protect the grave?